We're going to kick off with black today, just to try and get some more detail into a few of these little bits and pieces in here. And because I'm a girl dad, and actually surprisingly fun, a lot of these brushes they're actually makeup brushes because the bristles, although they're more sensitive. That's a winner. I need my fluid. Alrighty tighty, here we go. This stuff's key. It's a special liquid, and you only need the tiniest few drops of it. Hey Michael, and the tiny few drops you add, what it does is it impacts the surface tension. So if you imagine back when you put a liquid on, say, a marble top, and it would try and clump and spread and not keep a perfectly even sheen. That's the surface tension all pairing up in little clusters. So we don't want that to happen with the paint. We want even pigment dispersion, and this liquid means that's what's going to happen. Yeah. So I guess I have been a bit MIA as of late, and I apologize for that. But I've got 2 commissions that need doing, and they're pretty special. This one here is a family scene. I'm just gonna get that stark light behind me going. Give me a second, team. We're actually inside because the wind is a bit stronger today. And I thought rather than letting the paint dry out and all sorts, I would just, here we go. Let's bring this over here. There we go. Wonderful. So we're working inside today, effectively, and that's okay. And like I said, kicking off with the black zones. And since we're inside, we're sitting down and it's more relaxed, which is, you know, I'm actually here for that. Yeah. But I was actually recently watching a video with Picasso, of all people. And they had him on a stool and he was painting a chicken. And I've got to say, I didn't like the way he was painting the chicken. I used to paint inside all the time, but one of the big things is the chemicals that you come across when you paint. The chemicals you come across when you paint inside, they're more abundant, they're not dispersing as easily. That's not what you want. You actually want the chemicals to actually, and the off-gassing to go somewhere. So, but these paints are not perfect, but much more delicate. So this is a mixture of a little bit of egg tempera when we work inside, because it dries completely differently. But this is actually gouache paint. And you put different mediums through it, so it doesn't dry matte. It has more of a luster to it. Because gouache paintings, typically gouache, can actually seem a little bit boring. They're not glossy, they're not vibrant to the same degree. But that's not because of the gouache, that's because of its application. So when you actually mix the gouache with the right things, you get a result that it's kind of unparalleled for the, I mean, unparalleled, all paints are different. Raw color though, you're just going to find that gouache will win on the raw color front pretty much every time. Let me just see what's happening here. Sorry guys, let me just rotate you around for a second. Back up. Rotation is locked. Rotate device back. You are rotated back though. It doesn't seem to know what. There we go. Now it's playing ball. It's wild. Stream got interrupted because phone died. It happens. Anyway, this lovely picture here, it's going to be it's effectively a dinner scene, but it's also a family shot. So we have a table here across this part of the picture. There'll be characters around here. And then through the top, there's going to be some lovely points in the interior of the structure that'll create a bit of perspective. Within this shot, there's a couple of really little interesting points. Massive picture on the wall here. Characters smiling, each individual, each with their own little bit of style, and a lot of warm tones. So I know we've kicked off with the purples and the greens underneath because I want those colder colors in there first. So then when I come in with these reds, oranges, yellows, you know, more of these potent, warmer colors, then we're really going to see them pop off the page a bit more, which will be a bit of fun. Anyway, and because I'm coffeeed out for the morning, I've got an organic Mandarin Yuzu kombucha. Yum. Too sweet for me, but I'm glad it exists. All right. So like I was saying earlier, before my phone died, we're working with Bada Bing Bung Bung black, carbon black, the strongest black on the market, which is quite fun. And we're going to put it just in all the little spots to just build up a bit more of that contrast, because at the moment it kind of looks like porridge without a whole lot of definition, and we'd like to get a bit more definition into it before we start actually you know, before we do what? Nothing. Just we want more definition. There's so many little shapes though that fact of the matter is there will be a kind of abstract feeling to this no matter how far we go into it. It's always going to contain that, and I'm kind of here for that. I'm kind of here for that. Let me just, there's these massive sort of window pieces coming along there. Hey, let me slide this here. No, the other way. There we go. And for those who are returning after a long stint of me being away, I've been working a little bit in private, finding my feet creatively a bit more, and lots of things. My daughter's now 15 months, so that's been an amazing journey. I love being a dad so much. And there's 2 commissions right now that we're focusing on before we go off on a few personal projects. This one here, and then there's a wedding shot. The other 3 have left the country. It's very, very sad to see those 3 go, but they've left the country, and now it's this one and our wedding shot. And like, and then I'm thinking, pontificating, imagining, considering that the next one wants to be a face, because we've done a lot of these group shots, landscapes and wedding shots. I think it's time to really zoom in and capture some character. Oh, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. I did disappear. I did. It's, artistic blocks can come in all different shapes and forms. It's not always straightforward. And one of the big things that I've been personally battling with is fumes with paint. I can't be near paint fumes in any way, shape, or form. It completely sends me for a tailspin. I can't think straight. I can't work straight. And what that makes into a challenge is obviously I'm a painter. So things like oil paints and acrylic paints, unless I mask up, they're not viable. But for me personally, it's not even a streaming thing. It's, for me personally, a mask isn't a vibe. It's kind of, it's this thing on your face that stops free breathing. And I really don't enjoy that. So it's about finding methods like egg tempera and other methods. I always thought egg tempera is amazing, but it's very delicate. But finding methods to make art that I can do is the thing. It's hilarious, the idea that a painter, an artist, can't be around paint. You think, okay, it's quite funny, entertaining. In fact, for me, I see the comical side of it, but that's where I'm at. All right, so as I was saying earlier, we're trying to create a bit more of that contrast in this image. And I think after this black, we'll leap on in with a light color and just keep hammering that contrast front until we get somewhere special. That's the plan. Let's jump onto a new brush. I kind of want blue now. I feel like blue's going to play a lot of the role, bridging that gap between those colder colors and where we want to be going. Here we are. This is a phthalo blue. It's kind of halfway between cerulean, which is also a Pokemon town, and ultramarine, which is probably the most potent blue you could think of. And I've got some super fun brushes to work with. So because of the delicacy of this paint, I use makeup tools because the makeup tools have much finer bristles. So if you look at this one, this is hilarious. I'll show you this. Look at that. It's just a funny tool. You get all kind of creative tools when you start buying makeup equipment rather than actual paintbrushes. That last one we were working with was a paintbrush, but it's not necessary for it to be. Here we go. See, it's much more delicate. Perfect. So it's not pure, really important, it's not pure gouache. Pure gouache is very dry. It doesn't flow nicely, and we want flow. We need flow, otherwise how are you going to make a painting effectively? But that flow that you get, you combine mediums into it. The one thing about gouache is it doesn't actually have the ability to cure on its own. So you'll be very careful painting over other areas of a painting if it's been made with gouache. Because what's going to happen is it's all going to try and reactivate and mix. And while that can cause some pretty fun effects, if you are trying to aggressively layer, this is going to act against your favor. You're not going to get what you want from that. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I think we're in a really fun space creatively. I did try and buy back a few commissions recently, and I got told no, but I think the important thing there that I realized is I want these paintings, and that's a good step to be at, because some of the time you can ship commissions off. You know, artists send a commission out there, and you think to yourself, you know, oh, I hope they like it. I'm glad I'm being paid for this. Let's move on. And other times you send commissions out there and go, I want to keep that so bad that it was underpriced. I need it. I want it. And the goal as a creator is to make sure all your commissions land in that sphere if they can. There's no guarantee of that, but ideally they would. There we go. Beautiful. Just gonna put this down for a moment. I'm just gonna move this bench over here. There we go. I'm gonna move this over here too. Wonderful. Now, to complete everything, I just need a swivel chair and we'll be away. All right, get right up in there personal with it. That's where I want to be. It's not a fun thing about making the art with delicate paints. I always find when I'm using oil paints or acrylics, I'm trying to get away from the painting, from the breathing that in, from the potency, the smell of everything. You know, you don't want to be breathing that in as much as you can. But when the painting's more delicate, when you're using things that don't have those same levels of fumes, well, then you're talking about a very different experience, because you actually want to be closer to it, actively want to get close to it, or just get a good pair of sunglasses, not sunglasses, specs, to zoom in on it. That works too. This is a good color. We made a good choice here. This was the right choice. There was already blue underneath, but it was less spicy. This is more of a spicy blue. Hey, I got a few folks that I haven't seen in a while. I'm sorry for being MIA. Hey, Stacey. Hey, RC. Welcome in, guys. So we're working on a family shot. This is a commission that's going to America. It's a reorder from a client. I don't want to say client, I want to say friend. We've sent 2 works over there, and they were 2 amazing works. Huge fans of both. I remember the comment section on the first one we made. It had hundreds of comments, but one person said, "This is terrible art, why does everyone like it?" And someone else, a stranger, still don't know who it was, came in and said, it's impressionism, and actually inside that picture, the way it's been created is actually extremely hard to do. And this is an excellent example of it. And I just remember reading that and be really, really touched by it, because it is hard to do. And this person hit the nail on the head with the explanation back. And the actual initial commenter came back and actually said, I understand now. Thank you so much. You know, actually, you can read an initial comment and get hurt, or it's actually an opportunity to connect and have a conversation, because sometimes it seems like people are completely unreasonable, but other times it's actually not the case. It's actually, maybe they're just asking a genuine question, and your view on it is that it's a standoffish approach to what you're up to. Keep it spicy. Yeah, this style here will be, especially with this kind of paint, will be very, very bold in color. And at the end layers, at the moment it's all matte, but the end layers will have intense gloss to them, which will be fun. Having caught Seb live in a million years, I remember those streams from a million years ago. They went hard. I was so much younger then. Here we are. Beautiful. And then down through here. Ha! Your Kiwi's doing well. Thanks. Thanks. Kiwi's doing good. Happy and healthy. A father, enjoying being a father. I've been trying to get back into the gym recently as well. It's funny, some people after having a kid, they gain weight. And then some people after having a kid lose weight. So I'm one of the ones that lost weight. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get back and gain some pounds because I'm going to turn into a rake soon. I don't like being too heavy, but I don't like being really light. I like being somewhere in between. Yeah. Yeah. I've been waiting for the weather to come right here. So there's a tsunami that's gone through Hawaii yesterday. So I hope everyone's okay. It reached us last night and was a complete non-issue here, but the weather has been playing up. So I thought, you know what, rather than just waiting for it to come right, I'm just going to paint it indoors. This paint's okay. It's not a fumey paint. It's just a very, very delicate but high pigment load paint. We'll just do that. And I'm happy we are. It's a good place to be. I do need more paint though. Right. Let's do a little bit of this. Got the soundtrack of Bluey well and truly stuck in my head. All right, and we come. Here we go. Okay, this is like a neon pink. This is an absolutely wild color. Kind of thing we want in these early layers, but won't make an appearance later in the piece. Just so when you look at the work at the end, you can see some of these fiery tones popping off the surface. Here we go. By fire, I mean attitude as well, not pink's not a fiery color. There we go. Keep it coming down through here. Leaping across into my It's essentially grey, guys, but it's unbleached titanium, but grey. Yeah. Usually I stand to paint, but in this case here, the ceiling's not high enough. I'm so tall. It's I was kind of inspired by I was saying earlier, a video of Picasso. So Picasso was painting a chicken in a chair. They were filming him. I thought, you know what? That's all good. I'm gonna do that. We'll keep the wildness in the color, but let's just relax a little bit more into the process, because I have had historically quite an intense process. And we didn't actually start like that. We started way more relaxed in the early hours of the morning, painting in garages and things like that. Just relaxing, making the art. And I'm like, I wonder if I can get a bit more of that relaxed vibe back into the art. You know, intense expressionism's fun, but just a little more unwinding, chill to it couldn't hurt, you know? So Michael, I originally started on Reddit of all places, but they not killed it, they stopped their streaming service. And from there I moved to TikTok. And then I kind of like YouTube because it gives you the landscape version. But TikTok's fun because it's easy to have conversation. You can read the comments better. So at the moment, you guys on TikTok are on my iPad. So although you're further back, I can still read the comments really easily. Excuse me. And the folks on YouTube, well, they get the horizontal plane, which I personally find a bit more fun. But it's harder to edit footage out of, you know, reels and things like that when you cut up all those bits and pieces. So each to their own. There's really no right answer, but I've tried Twitch, but it's just a little bit too funky for me. I like something more chilled. Like TikTok is all the bells and whistles, but if you don't want to use them, it doesn't force them on you. And that's kind of fun because I don't want to use I tried to use the features, guys, but I don't want to. I just want to chat and have a stream, if that makes sense. That level of complexity is as sort of far as I want to go. I know that sounds lazy. At the moment, the YouTube isn't positioned perfectly. You definitely see more painting up close, but it's not quite right. We're just gonna roll with it for this session, but yeah, you need to be back a bit more on YouTube, and I'll do that next time. Searched everywhere to see where else you. Yeah. The problem is two max, and typically I'd say one, but two max, because as soon as you start streaming, you know, because you're uploading to more than 2 locations, you're putting stress on your Wi-Fi and decreasing the value or the quality of that stream for everyone else. So long as you can stream in 1080p, then you're using up the full capacity of the phone. And if your Wi-Fi can handle 2 streams of 1080p, then go for it. But don't make 2 different streams suffer through 720p. We're in 2025 now, guys. 720p is unacceptable. Facebook all good, but honestly with Facebook, I just upload the replays. That would be the next one. If my Wi-Fi could handle 3 streams, I'd go Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, but it can't. It can handle 2. And even then, the weather has to be good. Otherwise, I think it's going to be harder. You saw some paint on the chair where I'm sitting. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're a liar. Michael, no longer on Reddit. They took down their streaming service. Basically, it wasn't the direction they wanted to go in, and they kind of found that it was actually a bit of a headache to host. And I respect that. People were a little bit gutted, but you know, it was the wild west of streaming. People were playing music and doing all sorts of stuff. I don't know if it was copyright issues or anything like that, but I do remember everyone was having a great time. And you'd have streams go so viral on Reddit, like you'd end up on the front page of Reddit, and I'd have streams that would hit 500,000 people. You'd be like, what was happening? Just in a storage shed of a restaurant, painting. And you'd look at the screen and 23,000 people are watching you. It was out the gate. It wasn't, I don't think it was to the ethos of live streaming. I don't think live streaming is supposed to do that. I think live streaming, in practice, is supposed to be many, many, many streams of smaller numbers of viewers. I think's better for it. And it's actually the spice and variety of those small communities that makes live streaming fun. But when there's just one stream going super viral, it's not really that spice and variety feeling. And I think that's important. You know what I mean? Love Portland, Oregon. It's been over 10 years since I've been there, but if it's got the same attitude, I still love it. Love Portland, Maine as well. CZ. When I say 20, I think that 25,000 Reddit, like I say, it was a different thing. Everyone, when you logged on, was equal footing, and your stream it didn't matter how many followers you had the capacity to go viral as much as anyone else on the platform. So that was fun, but it was just wild. It needed to stop. I'm glad I don't know, I can see why they were like, nah, okay, that's enough. Reddit live streaming, everyone. We're pulling the pin on this. But I didn't have the ability. I tried to download it, but I really struggled to get it. All those old Reddit videos, they were pretty special. Low quality things, low quality. The Wi-Fi was no good, but man, I was having fun just painting. Getting back to what really mattered, and that was the crux of it. You know what we need? We need some browns. We need some juicy, juicy browns. Let's grab some. Thanks, Joseph. Just catching up here. Am I going to give a painting to you? I'm going to give this one to someone. But his name's not Joseph. All right, let's get a fresh paintbrush. And what I want now is one. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. What we're working with now is brown and orange. I know it's sad. It's sad. And I'm sorry it has to be that way. But this is Brendan's painting. Can't just go giving it away. I have to keep it special for him. That's a good question. Okay, so there's two schools of thought. Do you sketch out the picture before you start drawing, or do you just start drawing it? So some people will trace it out, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's when you put a projection onto it or a paper onto it, whatever, and you actually etch all the lines where you want them to go. Now, I would veer away from that in 2025 if you're thinking about it, because the imperfection of the way you see the world is going to be your unique niche against perfection. So what I mean is, we've got robots now that can do that to a T. They can make amazing art, but they can't make your mistakes as well as you can. It's hilarious to say it, but your mistakes are part of your product now. So when I start a picture, I just shoot from the hip, and the scale and the composition and perspective and characters and colors, they're going to be wrong. All of it's going to be wrong, slightly. But that warped little change, those little bits of incorrect design, actually give the piece its unique flavor. And you'll see me just adjusting things as we go along. I'll move these along a little bit. The table will change shape. Characters will move a little bit, just shimmering as different layers of paint land. And that's totally fine. Totally fine. Like I say, that's the flavor. And I have traced some works in the past, and they lost all their flavor. They were perfect, perfectly useless, perfectly flavorless, perfectly soulless. Promise from the bottom of my heart, I've never traced a commission. Now, please, me talking like that is talking about my specific art style alone. You, if you like to trace, it makes you no less or more of an artist. It's just another method. For my style, tracing kinda, that's a little koopy. Tracing kinda, just like I said, takes away all the flavor. Takes away everything special about a painting for me and my style. But there's some lovely artists online who trace things, and they do amazing art. And that's good for them. Just a line up here, we're just gonna get that. So once we get enough paint on this, my activity for today, aside from emails and print jobs and little bits and pieces, is taking Cooper to swimming. So that's our big family outing activity. If you're a parent, she's 15 months and she's done a bit of swimming, but she loves the water. Loves the water, loves it to bits. So it's an absolute pleasure to take her down there. How much better when you do your own sketch though? If you do your own sketch, it does feel good, does feel good, but if you do your own sketch, what you want to do is do it if you're painting over it, do it really rough, messy, scribbly, so that when you come to painting it, there are lines everywhere, but they don't feel like rules. Once lines become rules, the painting loses that kind of spontaneous flavor. And like, if you look at a Van Gogh or a Picasso, or anyone from that post-impressionist kind of period, to be fair, they're all kind of bouncing off each other. There most certainly is a spontaneous kind of, I'm going to put a stroke there kind of vibe. And if you have a line that you're forever working to from the very start, from the initial sketch, you're going to hold the work back. You're going to constrain it for the rest of the process. I don't know, but I don't think Van Gogh used to do that. So messy sketch, paint over it. Sometimes a messy sketch is less about actually marking out the picture and more about you loosening up. Like, sometimes I get a bit tense and tight when first putting the paintbrush on, and you can just literally fix that by scribbling all over the surface with a graphite or just a regular pen or a Sharpie before you start. Little darling. She's had a great morning, but I think I'm not sure, I think she's teething. That's when so babies originally just have a whole mouthful of gums, and they slowly grow teeth that push through the gums. It's seriously uncomfortable for them, and but they got some great tools. If you're a parent that doesn't mind using things like Pamol, which is effectively a painkiller designed for babies, that's a lovely solution to remove the discomfort of teeth coming through. We don't mind it. Basically, my typical rule is follow the best advice of doctors, and if doctors say yes to this amount, then I'm inclined to agree. Just like if a doctor asked me for feedback on a painting, I just hope they'd listen to that feedback. She's 15 months. She's an absolute little darling. And she just pooed on the floor. That's the word in from Mummy. So Daddy's gonna definitely be painting for 10 more minutes. Definitely 10 more minutes. All right. Yeah, you can see a really cool angle shot of the colors and the closer composition on YouTube though. So if you are getting bored on the TikTok, jump across onto YouTube and check it out from the close-up, because you get an idea of this delicate kind of paint and how it kind of wants to look and feel. Or keep doing what you're doing. You are empowered to make that decision for yourself. Okay. G'day, Mike. You'll be back from Chicago now, Mike, I believe. Would be my guess. I know we're a creative here. I'm not just murdering beers while I paint. This is a kombucha, but it's a little bit sweet. I wonder if it's got added sugar. Yeah, it's got a bit of added sugar. Cane sugar, but added sugar. I'm not a super health fanatic on that kind of stuff, but the reason why I need to look out for sugar is because ever since my sort of early 30s, acid reflux has become a real thing. And if you get reflux, it's not fun. Like, it's not only is it not fun, it's not attractive, it's not, you just get a burning sensation in your throat and you burp a lot. It's truly awful, truly awful. And sugar does it to me, so I don't really crave sugar that much. Love protein. Oh my God. Fish. Oh my God. Fish, chicken, beef. Chicken cooked right has got to be one of the best things you could possibly eat. That's my opinion. Thanks for answering that, Michael. Yeah, so I do sell the paintings. This is a commission though, and the next one we're painting is a commission too. We got this one, and then it's kind of like a landscape wedding shot. I'll show you soon into the time. All eyes on this one right now, but landscape wedding shot's coming up next. This is a wonderful, wonderful picture though. And then I haven't decided whether we do a couple of small portraits or a few, like one massive portrait, kind of like the old days. Probably, I'm leaning more towards a cluster of smaller portraits, even as small as kind of 20 by 30 inches, which is getting tiny for me. That was the kind of burp I was talking about. That's what happens. Sugary kombucha. It's bad news. Hello from the other side. Yeah. I think I got to that. Ooh. We've got a lot of the crowd in here this time. Esmundo, I'm doing great. Welcome on in. God, it's lovely paint to work with though. It's just so potent on the colour. It's kind of like using a the felt equivalent of paint. I'm liking the way these characters are really starting to take form. So these two here, these are the two, they're the collectors. Love them both. I spend most of my time talking with Brandon, but they're amazing. And then we've got 4 characters over here. 1, 2, 3. And currently a bit more obscured is number 4 over here. That's because she matches the color of the table behind her, so it's not as obvious. I'm a sucker for punishment. I'm going to keep enjoying this. Is it getting summery in New Zealand? Kinda. We had a tsunami warning recently, but no sun really yet. Once the sun comes out more, I've got a new thing to show you guys that you guys are gonna love, and it's out the gate. So I've got New Zealand beeswax refined in blocks. I'm gonna grab a block to show you guys actually. Hold fire, I'm gonna grab a block. All right, I'm bound. Here we go. Kind of like a present. So I'll just unwrap this to show you. Come on. Yeah, perfect. So this is just regular. This is ground dry pigment, and it's cerulean blue. I'll just show the guys on YouTube first. There we go. Then I'll show you guys over here. Hello to Malaysia. So this is a little jar of straight pigment. A little bit hard to see with the lighting. Sorry, guys. So it's at 40 microns. So if you think of a human hair is, I think, 90 to 150 microns, 100 microns. A human hair is basically over double as thick as this pigment's powder. So it's very, very fine ground down pigment. And what we do is you get effectively, and it sounds so silly, but it's all you need, a George Foreman grill set to a low, low temperature. We're talking like the mark of 60 degrees. Once you go up to the likes of 70 and 90 degrees, the temperature becomes too hot. And what happens is the actual, here's where we get into it, the beeswax loses its structural properties. Now this is a block, pure block of New Zealand beeswax. So you heard about New Zealand honey, how amazing that is, blah, blah, blah. We don't usually ship the wax. Now this is a big blocks of the wax, and blocks of the wax. This is a block of the wax. And all it is beeswax. So it has this lovely, beautiful, raw honey smell. It is just beautiful. Now what happens is I melt this, add the pigment into it, and then the last thing you can add in is a little bit of Damar resin. Basically the resin just stops it from being like a wax sculpture that's gonna melt in a high heat. But that's effectively 2 of the 3 ingredients that make the whole thing potent. You do paint with it. Now, why don't you hear about it more often? It's called Encaustic art, and it's the oldest form of art in existence because these paintings last the longest. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. But this paint here that I'm using, it dries within 30 seconds to a minute, and it's completely dry. Touch dry. Oil paintings can take 8 months to dry, 6 months to dry, to fully, cure. And well, that's great. And because it stays open for a long period of time. Encaustic would be the pure opposite, because encaustic doesn't off-gas to dry. It just cools down. And so within seconds of it hitting a surface like this, which is at room temperature, it's set. And so you only get the most brief windows of a few seconds, if not the moment it hits, it's, you know, when you see wax, like a candle, drip onto a table and it hardens immediately, that's what you're painting with. And so no stroke can, well, no stroke can be like calm, blended, and calculated. It must just happen. And I've been watching a few artists on it. I've been thinking, you know what? I reckon this crazy, immediate style might work well for me. But I've been doing some experiments. I'm about ready to do some in front of you guys. It's just really fun to watch too, because the pigment just dissolves into the beeswax. The beeswax becomes this amazing, like almost like cartoonish gloop of color, and you add it and it sprays on, and you have to do it flat. That's one of the things. It has to be flat. If you do it upright, it's going to be dripping everywhere. You want it flat so you can actually have slightly more control over it. But anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. The time's approaching. Hard painting beeswax at the scale? Nah. You need scale. You need it. You need it. Probably depends on how you do it. I see nothing but advantage using beeswax at scale. You do need the right weather conditions though, because if you're using the pigments, as soon as a slight breeze comes, these tiny microns of pigment will just to the wind. So while that on one hand sounds like fun, you do not want to be breathing that stuff in. That is not good for your lungs. It won't be a cancer risk as such, like a lot of the other more volatile pigments or art stuff can be, but you know what it will be? It'll be tiny little things inside your lungs that's just incredibly unhealthy for you. So ideally, and I've got an obligation to show you guys safe practice if possible, because what happens, like I used to do a bit of oil painting without a mask on, and then what happens is some people start to copy you. And while I understand that, I get that, I love that, if you're doing bad practice, like painting without a mask on with certain kinds of paint, and then some innocent person, 15, 16, university, thinks, oh, cool, I'm going to do it like Seb. I'm not going to, effectively, I'm not going to wear a helmet. And all of a sudden, you've hurt yourself. You've lost brain cells, affected your frontal lobe, used cancerous materials. I don't want to, I can't have that. So, well, you can be like, nah, but I can do it in a safe way. Yeah, but did you do it in such a way that people understand not to do it like that? Or was there just a disclaimer at the start? Don't do this at home. Like, I don't know. I don't think the do not do this at home worked really well on those Jackass movies. I think people still tried to replicate it. And these things are really dangerous. The fumes from paint are no joke. So, anyway, that's inbound. Hold on. Silver and gold pigments wanted to mix them with acrylic to make a metallic look, but they didn't combine it all. Nah, they won't. So the issue you'll run into there is if you had powdered pigment, silver or gold, depending on it, if you got a cheap one, it probably tried to clump, kind of like adding corn flour to lukewarm water. It doesn't do it well for you. You need a specific kind of pigment, and even then, it won't like going into acrylics. Think of acrylics as plastics. they're just commercial plastics. And while we love commercial plastic, it's robust, it's invincible, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's actually not that sexy. It's not that great to breathe in. You're sniffing glue. You are. Acrylics are glue, so you're sniffing them. And if you have raw pigment and you want to mix it into something, if you want to do traditional techniques, mix it into a walnut oil. Careful, or a linseed oil. Careful doing it, because if you buy your own stuff from the supermarket, it might not be as high quality as a nice artist grade thing. So artist grade oil, when you start, until you get a good understanding of oils, just buy the safe oil from the store. And then going forward from there, the other thing you can combine it with is egg tempera. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of egg tempera. So you go half egg yolk, half water. It needs to be, egg yolk needs to come in a certain way. Water needs to be distilled, pure water. And some people add just a little bit of vinegar to the mix, white vinegar. The intentions behind the white vinegar is to make the mix last slightly longer. I typically won't add the vinegar in at all. I'll just actually use the mixture immediately and then keep it in a dry space so it doesn't, so it has time to cure fully. And the other one you can use pigments for is gouache. Combine in a bit of gum arabic and water, and you'll get a paint very similar to what I'm using at the moment. And gouache is great, even though it can be reactivated. It flows nicely and has no chemicals in it. No chemicals, especially if you make it yourself. Last yarn, hey birdie, welcome in. It's been a hot minute since I've seen you. Tempera is an easy one to try. If you want to easily get into tempera, buy pre-made gouaches, which look like these, tiny little tubes. Buy pre-made gouache and then just add an egg emulsion mix into it. Your first few tries may not come out perfectly, but you're going to have fun and it's going to be safe. That's two pretty cool things. Egg tempera is easier to explain though when I can actually have some eggs in front of me. You can cut into them and stuff. There's a few old videos of us doing that. I should have made just one YouTube video with it all in there. It would be pretty cool. But anyway. I had a trail of thought and now it's gone. Tempera. There was one other thing. You like gouache? Powerful colors. Yeah. Yes, pigment will be great with resin, but resin's one of the most subtle nasties you can find. You'll do serious damage to yourself if you don't properly mask up with a volatile organic compound gas mask that's set to deal with Vox, which are the things that those resins are going to give off. All I'll say is with the resins, rather than me going into it, hundreds of YouTube videos of people who have been caught out and significantly changed their lives because they breathed in too much of the off-gassing fumes of setting resins without realizing that they were dangerous. So be careful, just be careful. Do your research on that kind of stuff. And if you're doing anything weird and unique, you can ask me or you can ask chatbot GPT. So if you've got something like, oh, I plan on using gouache, combining a bit of egg tempera into it, and then I want to set it with a so-and-so, I can tell you when you need the mask on and what you need to be doing from a safety standpoint. In terms of the creativity, that's on you. You'll have your own ideas, run with it. I'm excited for you. Happy to help out there, but you know that well. If it's simply on a safety front, I've got you covered. Just flick me the idea. You will find though that if you're using pre-made gouaches, last thing on paint safety. Pre-made gouaches contain what's called MBIT and BIT. So MBIT, BIT, what these things are is they're known by the state of California to cause cancer. They are nasty. What do? They go inside the paint and just make the paint last longer inside a tube. It's unnatural for color to sit there in a pigment that doesn't want to set until you're ready to paint it on something to then finally set. Paint doesn't want to do that. And so that MBIT is usually about 1% of the overall mix, and it's inside that tube. So 1% of all the paint you're using that's from a tube, in gouache's case, and it varies for different paints, will be this cancer-causing agent. It's in there, MBIT. Look for it on your paint tubes. It's in most paints, and what that's going to mean is just be a little bit careful with it. Keep the paint off your skin. If you can, keep it off your skin. If you can, it's not too important if you're using gouache, only because if you're using gouache, it's not trying to off-gas to dry. Gouache just evaporates and never fully sets or cures. It just waits to be reactivated. So to sort that out, you spray a fixative over the top of gouache if you want to solid state it, fixative or spray varnish. You cannot paint varnish on gouache, it will reactivate. It'll be un desastre. Yeah. Enough yarning about that though. I can't help but love my toxic oil paints the most though. Yeah. And you know what? Respect that big time. If you are finding you're in love with those sweet, sweet toxic oil paints, and they are toxic. I'm glad you recognize that. They are extremely toxic. They are out the gate. But if you love them, and that's okay to love them, I think you already do, Bertie. Plein air painting. Oh my God. Get out there and plein air paint. And the reason you want to do it plein air style is because that's going to disperse a lot of the fumes rather than you being inside a building. Even being out on a veranda or something is going to be a game changer. But like, I totally get it, Bertie. Your art is phenomenal and it works with oil. And so it's hard to deviate from that, especially with the detail you add in, the exact gradients that you need. G'day, Jay. Welcome in, mate. We're back here working on it's a banquet. It's kind of like the Last Supper a little bit, but it's quite an intense, crazy vibe going on with the colours right now as we slowly bring it back into a... You can see how we're adding those warmer tones in though. It's going to the right place. These pinks will tone back a little bit. We're already seeing those blues and greens dropping back. Those colder colours still in the picture, but not taking it over. It's a good place to be. It's how they dry. That buttery fantasticness. Oils are amazing. They are amazing. But every paint has its pros and cons. So while oil has some massive pros, it also has cons. It doesn't just win against acrylic. They're two very different things, trying to do two very different things. Same with watercolors, gouache, encaustic, tempera. These different painting mediums aren't really comparable. And so when someone says, I love to paint, but I'm so bad at it, it's kind of like I don't think you are actually bad at it. You've only tried one out of 16 different, extremely different painting methods. So that's not really a fair assessment. It's like saying you hate cereal if you've only tried porridge. You just had oats. It wouldn't be the full picture. You need to try cornflakes, rice pops, Fruit Loops. Once you've tried all the range of cereals, you can say you hate cereals. But from a position of not having tried all the painting methods, you can't say that you're no good at painting. You probably just haven't found the painting method that's right for you. I am not great with watercolor. Watercolor does not show me in the best light. So if all I'd ever touched was watercolor, you might even say Seb doesn't know how to paint. Well, Do you see how that could be you if all you've tried is acrylics? Because acrylics aren't for everyone. They're for 1/16 of artists who paint. Like, so if you get, of all the artists, say 3% are painters. Of those 3% who are painters, 1/16 will like acrylic. What are the chances that you're in that bucket? It's highly unlikely, so don't judge your artistic ability off one type of paint. That's ridiculous. Oils are the highest buy-in point. They are typically the most expensive. They are the hardest to clean, and they're oily. It makes it very tough. They get everywhere. You need to use turpentine or, you know, spirits to actually get it out of certain areas, out of your clothes, out of the floor. It's just, oils can be tough. So a lot of people avoid them, when actually they'd be amazing with them. But if you're learning with oils, please, 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 especially if you're working inside, put that mask on. I know the masks aren't sexy, but oh my God. You know what is sexy? Having good health. So please mask up. So with what paint should we wear a mask? Can I do that the opposite way around? The paints that you shouldn't or don't need to wear a mask for. And when I say mask, we're specifically talking about a volatile organic compound mask. So one that deals with fumes from solvents. So we're not talking about dust. With dust, we're talking about a dust mask, effectively. And what you'll typically find when you go into the mask section of a safety shop is you'll have your specialized VOC masks, which are, as a New Zealand standard, international standard, I forget what it is, but you'll clip these on, and that will deal with the vapor, I call it a vapor filter, in the air, which is great to deal with the regular stuff you'll find in paint. And then there's an additional filter that goes over the top. That's the particulate filter, or whatever they call it. That thing goes on there and deals with the smaller particles from things like soaring things like sawdust, things like this, pigments. So in terms of the trying to get back on the trail of thought there, in terms of what to wear a mask for, the things you don't need to wear a fancy vapor mask for is a better list. That's Encaustic Art. Don't need a vapor mask for that, provided you didn't add a dangerous resin into it. Those two ingredients I showed you there, if they're used by themselves, you don't need a mask. You will need a particle filter, but not a mask. And then you've got your egg tempera, same story. If you're working with powdered pigments, you'll need a particle filter, but you won't need a mask for egg tempera. And then you've got watercolor. Watercolor is the safest of all the methods of painting. What you'll find with watercolor is that it literally only has gum arabic in it. It's got pigment, and you combine water with it. Very safe. You do it on paper. Obviously don't eat the paint, and sometimes the paints can have heavy metals in it, so careful getting it on your skin. But the actual thing's entirely safe. You don't need a mask for it. Gouache, same story. We're using gouache paints right now. You don't need a mask for that, provided you're not adding dangerous things into it. Acrylics, they say you don't need a mask. Just do it in a ventilated space and please don't breathe it in, which to me would be a red flag. That strikes me as a weird way to phrase something. Acrylics are essentially plastics, guys. So if you've been tricked into thinking acrylics are better for your health than oils, you've been tricked. And just like you shouldn't sniff glue all day, you shouldn't sniff acrylics all day, which are glues. So next time you smell that acrylic smell, realize that's liquid glue sitting and going into your nostrils and having an impact on your frontal lobe and the way your brain functions. So while it might be fun to walk out of your studio going like, woo-hoo-hoo, look at me, I'm a little bit high, realize the long-term effects of that is in 20 years, you're not going to be the same person. you're going to be missing parts of yourself that made you special. If that's a cost that you're willing to pay, I can't stop you, but I wouldn't encourage anyone pay that price because I don't think it's worth it. I hope that covers it. Where am I from? This is New Zealand. And oh my God, I scrolled past earlier and thought you were in a wheelchair. That would be, it wouldn't affect our ability to do what we're doing here if I was. But, yeah. Some people have that road to cut. It's not an easy one. Plus, I like the look of oil paints and acrylic. I think it's a personal preference. It is. It is extremely so. Yeah. Extremely so. Acrylics, depending on how they're applied, if they're cheaper ones, they can come off quite tacky. And then oil paints can oil paints always look good. Always. Juicy, thick color. That's why a lot of people get addicted and become oil painters no matter what. It's not because they always look better, but they always look good. So you can kind of be as rough and as wild as you like with oil paints and get away with it, with the end result always looking nice. And so that unrestrained process is definitely quite alluring for a lot of people. Michael, why are oils toxic though? So typically oil paints get sold to you and they'll say all this oil paint is pigment, powdered pigment like this, so literally a pigment powder of the ground color, and that just goes into our oil and then you paint with it. And that's not entirely true. They'll say, well, there's other things that make the texture nice and blah, blah, blah. Oil paint, the way it sets, obviously, if it's just the linseed oil that's in it, the linseed oil will slowly set, and it's actually not that bad for your health. But a lot of these tubes, especially the cheaper oil paints, are loaded with other things that will make the paint dry faster, that'll make it shine better, that will make it move easier. And these things, these additional things that have been added to it, make the paint really, really nasty because it off-gases, which means that part of its setting process is that rather than just evaporating, the solvents inside of it, the most common one they say we add to oil paints, which is methylated spirits and things to make the flow nicer. A lot of manufacturers are adding that same stuff, that off-gases from the paint, into the actual oil paint while it's in the tube. Now, if you're doing that, the issue you're going to face is, and it happens for up to 6 months, the paint gives off those fumes and you're breathing them in. It's truly nasty. And it's not something you want to be a part of. And when you start reading the material safety data sheets, it'll say on the tube, this is safe. Just please use it in a ventilated space. Don't eat it. Don't let it on your skin. Don't smell it. Don't go near it. And it's safe. Do you see how that's a red flag? If I told you this orange is entirely safe, you're going to love this orange. It's really great. Just don't eat it. Don't look at it. Don't smell it. Don't go near it. Don't use it in a space that's not ventilated to the absolute extreme of commercial. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So if you have the time and look at the chemical data safety sheets, you're going to quickly learn that actually a lot of these things are not safe. They don't need to say that on all paints. These paints don't say that. Watercolor paints don't say that. Not everything says that. But they say that because they have to legally say that because it's dangerous. And then we go, oh, okay, the paint manufacturer has my best interests at heart. You sure? You sure? Or do they just want you to buy the paint? And if they told you how toxic it was, would you still buy it? So is it actually your best interest they have at heart? At the end of the day, you've got to actually figure out the paint you're using and what's in it. And like I say, every single paint contains cancer-causing agents that help stabilize it, like MBIT. And the paints that don't, Like there's a couple of natural paints out there that go, you know, we're healthy, we're natural, we're organic, we're not using those dangerous things. And it's kind of like the same thing we have with organic food right now, that we're saying these no longer contain, you know, the harmful pesticides we use on organic crops. And yet all we've done is swap it for herbicides that we fall within a label of organic, when actually they have to use more of them, and at their amounts that they're getting put in it are as, if not more, lethal. So it's not always simple, guys. Go to the chemical safety data sheets, read it, make your own opinions. The easiest thing to do with it, if you can't be bothered reading through a 22-page document, which I totally get, is go download the chemical data safety sheet and put it into GBT and tell it how you're planning on using it. I'm going to use it in my room. I'm going to use it outside. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. And GBT will come back and say, oh, no, that has conflicts with the information they've delivered on page 13, 14, whatever. So anyway. Now I'm kind of worried I might have inhaled. Okay, so a couple of good pieces of news, though, Michael. If you have inhaled dangerous fumes, from my understanding, off the paints that I've used and have studied, any damage done has been done. It will not get progressively worse if you are no longer exposing yourself to it. The next thing to do is figure out what in the future you'll be exposing yourself to and how you can actually Birdie's saying she always needs a Seb safety talk to get you to paint out. Yeah, like Birdie, paint outside. I know the lighting's harder to control. I know all these things, but your health is so worth it. It's so worth it. And if safety becomes a cornerstone of your process is now sustainable for a 40-year, 60-year period. If safety's not built into your process, you will not be an artist in 20 years, definitely, because you won't be the same person. You've melted your brain. So you have to build safety into it. It's kind of like, it'd be kind of like starting a business, but without actually putting securities in place, you've got no long-term prospects. And so the goal is to be an artist, to continue to be an artist, to have a future as an artist. That's a noble goal to have, but you have to take a 40-year stance on that. And if the 40-year plan is that your brain will be melted at the age of 55, that's not a long-term plan. And that's actually, in terms of anyone looking to invest in you, it's what? So you're not going to actually be here. And you'd be like, well, that's going to send the value of my art up. Because I'll be, well, that's a very morbid way of looking at it. And I think your art can still go up in price even if you're not dead. It's a good way to be. Okay, Birdie, whatever you're doing that caused that, you need to stop that. Because think about it this way. If you are a person looking to buy from an artist who you think is going to go up in value, that's going to become the next big thing, that's going to be special, that's going to be valued in museums, you need to know that that artist actually will be around to promote effectively their brand as time goes by. If you're buying from an artist who's self-destructing literally while they're making the art, that they're not going to be the next Jeff Koons. Jeff Koons is where he is, and Andy Warhol got to where he was because they actually had brain cells at the end of the journey. So, yeah. That terrifies me, Birdie. Get back outside. Okay, if you wore a COVID mask with a powder, that would have made a huge difference. So the COVID mask would have helped with small particles, small airborne particles. It's not 100%. So for example, if you're dealing with asbestos or like something lethal in small particles, that won't have completely fixed the problem, but it would have gone 70 to 90% of the way there. So primo. If you're constantly dealing with particles, I'd recommend something that actually really clings onto your face and doesn't have gaps, but that's a fantastic step. That mask, those COVID masks, you know, the small little things with the straps on them, they will not help with the off-gassing and the vapors that can come off a painting. They will do absolutely zero. Not just mitigate it, they will do nothing. So make sure you've got the correct mask for dealing with paint vapors. But for general dust, this is dust, this is powder. For general powders, you are very safe to actually put on one of those masks for a one-off circumstance, but then go on properly, full face coverage, if you're doing that all the time. Get rid of all the risk. Some of those pigments are more dangerous than others. If they're a safer pigment, you don't want to inhale it, but it's not on the same level of risk as the ones that have candiums and cobalts, which are the heavy metals that if you actually get them into your system, you're going to be in all sorts of health risks. Okay, we've covered this with enough paint now. The next thing I need to do is I need to spray it with a fixative. So that means when I keep going on it with more gouache paints, it doesn't mix more and turn into porridge. But this is a very, very fun place to be. For the 3 people watching on YouTube, they can see the up-close pounding color in this work. And for the guys on TikTok, though you don't have an angle as good as that, you did get the conversation. So everyone's a winner. Thank you so much for I don't want to go into gold leaf right now, but gold leaf is amazing with egg temporal works. There is a way to actually put it on the work. It's very safe to use and it gets amazing shimmering effects. If you want to put gold in a painting, gold leaf is the best way to do it. It's also one of the oldest ways of doing it. It's inconvenient to add. You get a special, okay, we're going to go into it. You get a special red clay and you use that to set it on the surface, just like the ancient artists of old. It's an amazing way to do it. It feels really, really hands-on. We've turned gold into pigments, powdered pigments, and although these look beautiful, they actually don't come out as gold. If you want pure gold on your work, you need to use gold leaf. There's really nothing that does it as well. You can get 70% of the way there, but you will get no further. So if you want to talk A+ gold, gold leaf, and if you want to talk about B+ gold, sure, powdered gold mica is going to do a pretty good job. Right, rosé gold goes hard. I like the orange gold personally. It reminds me more of the gold rush era. It has more of that intensity to it, but rosé gold, that's cool. All right, I'm actually out of here, guys. I need to take my daughter to the hot pools, or I think she's napping right now, but I'll get things prepared and probably do a little bit of cleaning. We'll see. This is in a great spot, and I will see you again soon to add a bit more paint to it. Birdie, you better be painting outside. You better be painting outside. Yes, Birdie, can you send through the health questions, though, on Instagram, if possible? And that goes for everyone. I love TikTok. You can message there, but it's just a message, so I can send back a voice note, pictures, and videos on Instagram. So that'd be great if you can do that. Anyway, thanks for joining. You're a pack of legends, and I've had a lot of fun today. So thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to stop the YouTube one. Bye, you two crazy cats.